We are live, guys.
Yeah, buddy, we're live again.
Episode 13 of the Start, Build, Grow Show, where contracting and entrepreneurship meet. Finally, we got a special guest here, right? Like I was saying, it's like one of those guys that's always booked up, right? It's like he's the hot guy on tour right now.
He's a busy guy.
He's a busy guy, man.
Hard to hold down.
But finally, we got him here. From here, Randy?
Oh, yeah, man. Before I get too carried away, introduce you to my man Cody here.
Honor of the late and great Nick Parrott.
Welcome to the show. Give just a minute. As you know, this show is all about entrepreneurship, and we love telling the story of entrepreneurship in the contracting space, in the contracting world. And today we have an amazing story. One, because I'm a part of it. I was in the story. I'm a big part of the story, and we have an awesome adventure to talk to you guys about. So without further ado, our very special guest, Mr. Cody Hayes.
Hey, glad to be here with you.
Thanks for joining us,
finally,
Cody.
man. It's
Appreciate it, man.
good to be here. It's been one of those things where I haven't really been holding off. It's just been really cool to see this thing grow, to see it start it and build it and grow it, right? So I'm glad to be here. I'm very excited to be on your list of guests for lucky number 13, and ready to kick this thing off.
It's a big good one.
Yeah, man.
So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the storyline. Let's get there. We got a certain amount of time. Before I get too carried away, make sure we definitely want to do a Q&A at the end. Guys, this is my business partner. We've been working together. We've known each other for pretty much our whole lives. Been working together almost a decade now and have gone through a lot of things, a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles, and we've somehow managed to build a pretty cool company. So we want to open that up to you. We want to open ourselves up and do a Q&A at the end as well. So queue up those questions, and as always, Nick will be on manning the computer and facilitating everything as the host here. So we'll get right into the storyline. I mentioned before that we go back. Cody and I, we met, I think we were 11 or 10 years old, something like that.
11 years old.
So it's been a minute.
We met a long time ago, well over a score ago, 20 years. And it's been an incredible journey. He and I not only just met, but we met at children's church of all places, and we got in trouble for skipping children's church. Probably shouldn't have done that. Probably shouldn't be saying that live either, but you know, it is what it is. So we go back. We were best friends growing up. We went to college together, and then separated for a little while and kind of went off on our own path to our own little careers that we had. And then as fate would have it, our career paths kind of came clashing together back in 2009. Is that right? Back in 2010. Is when our kind of career paths came crashing together, and that was what ultimately led to the launch of our company, Elite Roofing. So welcome to the show, Cody. I'm excited to have you, and as always, we'd love to tell this story. So I want to hear from your perspective. When that phone call happened, at the time, let me premise this a little bit. Let me preset this a little bit. At the time, he was smarter than me. He graduated college a little bit earlier. He did it 4 years. I took 5-ish years. So he was already fully in a career, doing property management, working for a big company, developing storage units, managing storage units, and had an awesome career going right there. And it just so happened that they were in the middle of kind of shuffling some projects, and he had a little bit of leave, just a little bit of time off. And we just obviously stayed connected. And I was like, hey, I'm getting into this roofing thing. At the time, we were just getting started. Let's start right there. When I called Cody and I was like, hey, dude, I want to start a roofing company.
Boom.
What's up?
What does Cody say?
Let's see what happens. I think you'd be good at it.
I think it's
do the phone thing. What do you got? Hey,
it was kind of a matter of fate. You know, I was in a transition with my company where they wanted me to move to the East Coast. They wanted me to go to Baltimore. They gave me some time off, and they said, hey, until this property is ready, we basically have 60 days for you to find an apartment and figure out where you want to live and get all the transition stuff done. So I knew I had more time than I needed, and they were going to pay me for this time off. So I ended up spending time just visiting family in Colorado and kind of getting things figured out. And I went out to Baltimore and realized I wasn't quite ready to move to the East Coast. And so in the 2 months off, I talked to Randy, and he said, hey, I'm getting this roofing thing going. You know, my background mainly is management and hiring and training, stuff like that. And I said, hey, I have time available to help you out. Let's look into some marketing stuff. Let's look into helping you kick this thing off. It was pretty much, hey, I'm going to live on your couch for the next 2 months until I figure out what the heck's going on. And very quickly, it turned into seeing where this path is leading and seeing that there are people that maybe necessarily shouldn't be part of this organization. And it had kind of a fallout with some of the older guys that started there. Yeah.
Rough start.
Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of a sequence of events where I just happen to have the time off with my job, and I happen to have Randy getting this thing going where he has a great construction background, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a great business background, but I had kind of the management side and the training side, and I was good at sales. We're both good at sales, you know. Yeah. So it was just kind of, the stars just aligned, and
it was meant to be almost.
Yeah, you know, I talked
So when he called you, right, and it just seemed like you had that extra time, right away were you like, dude, I'm all in on Randy, or did you all?
Here's the thing: is I was a kid. I was a young kid, and I had a great job. God, I was 23.
No, I was more than that. I was 27, 28, man.
8 years old. I was 20.
35. You're a little old, dude.
I was 19 or 7. No, I was younger in my career, and I was at a point where I had to kind of make that decision of either jumping all in with this corporate type world or taking that step back and kind of just finding my own path.
What do you think of the corporate world at that time?
I hated sitting behind a desk. I hated having somebody else to pick my schedule and to pick my pay, and it just I worked in a really small office, and it was just me and 2 other people, and I needed a bigger outside view, I guess.
Okay.
So let me give a little more context to this. So I had started this roofing company. And we were just trying to get organized and just trying to get stuff going. It had been only a couple months. And I was like, at first I was like thinking, okay, I need to get sales going. Who do I know that would be really good at roofing sales? And obviously Cody's like, oh, he would kill it. Like, let's get it. I'm going to have him just come help us do sales. And that was the original thought, right? You have some time off. Give me a month. Let's see what happens. Let's see if this is a career that you may be interested in. And here I have a place where you can stay, crash on the couch. Little did I know, he just killed it. I mean, look at this guy. He killed it with sales. He's just a straight up dude, genuine guy, very smart, and he just did very well with sales. So when we launched our company, it was he and I just sell. We knew that, and this is something to take into account, is we said, what's our worst case scenario? Okay, when we decided, okay, we're going to take this company to the next level, what is the worst case scenario? And we both looked at each other and was like, okay, worst case scenario, we're good at knocking doors. We're good at selling roofs. Yeah. We can find someone else to do some logistics. We'll sell. We can at least do a couple million just by ourselves.
Worst case.
That was our worst case scenario. So that's kind of what led us to go ahead and move forward with that. But what's important about what I'm getting at is I got to a moment, a month or so in, he was killing it. I was like, man, this is a great thing. He's doing great at sales. But I had this moment where I knew that this arrangement, this situation wasn't going to work long term. I knew that as my best friend, we grew up together. I knew that a salesperson, manager, or a boss, subordinate type of relationship just wasn't going to work. No. So I came to the realization also at this point, it was starting to show itself, and we'll talk a lot more about this as we progress through the story. It was starting to show ourselves that we were different in ways that actually were good. In a way, we kind of started to figure out, like, maybe we can balance each other a little bit. And therefore, I was like, in order for me to really do what I need to do and take this company to a whole nother level, I had a lot of limitations, and he has a lot of the qualities and a lot of characteristics that can help, mask or overcome some of my limitations. Yeah. So I just came to the realization that, all right, if we're gonna do this right, I gotta make him a partner. Like, I can't just. It's not gonna last if we stay in the same type of status of him working for the company. So we sat down and had a nice long talk, and so next thing you know, we put it together and we went all in as business partners.
So what did that look like? You guys had that conversation. Like, what kind of questions are good qualifying questions to see, hey, is this a good partnership, right? Because I feel like there's a lot of fallout and stuff like that. What kind of questions are you asking each other to make sure that, you guys are obviously great friends too, that you're not affecting that relationship and having a successful business together?
I would say qualifying questions are rather tough, especially with our situation. Just I've known Randy for so long. You know what I mean? It's been kind of a lifelong interview. But I mean, I've talked with some people about how this isn't the same as finding like a roommate, right? A lot of guys or girls have had roommate situations. They're like, hey, you're my best friend. We should live together. And it blows up in months, right? Yeah. And just because you get along with someone doesn't mean you work well with someone or live well with somebody. 100%. So we had to have those qualities that do complement each other. And we still to this day, we have very different roles. From the very beginning, we've always had very different roles. I mean, minus when we were selling and overlapping a lot, we've always had completely different roles in the business.
Is that pretty much the only similarity that you guys have then? Is that sales side, and then in terms of other responsibilities, you guys are like, hey, I'm gonna dominate this side, you dominate this side.
And there's a storyline behind that too. Because that developed. That just wasn't something that just happened.
No. It takes time.
Again, starting with the worst case scenario, sell roofs. That's what we did. Like we sold roofs. Like we got to a point where we literally had to go to a whole other state and work for a whole other company just to sell roofs and make enough money to fund our company. So we knew that was the number one priority. We have to sell roofs. We got to get points on the board. And we got to get the company going. And we didn't have any money. It was like we got to go all in to do this, and we're gonna load both of our whatever we sell. Instead of taking the commission, we're gonna put that money back in the company. And that's what we kept doing and kept doing and kept doing. And once a couple years passed of doing this, that's when we got to a place where, all right, how do we grow this thing? How do we scale this thing? And we started figuring out that in order to do that, we can't keep selling. We can't keep in the business, both of us. So we kind of illustrated a path out. Like essentially for both of us, it was like, okay, first you keep selling, and I'm going to go ahead and start working on some marketing stuff and take over as a production manager and start working in office stuff and like overseeing different things. And then I started the process of working my way out of sales with the same intention of, once we get there, we'll start working him out of sales. And that alone was like a 5-year process. It's still ongoing.
It's still ongoing.
To get yourself from working in your business to working on your business, it's a process. Again, it's what the whole roofing academy is all about, because we've done it. We literally did it. And it took a long time. And it was a step by step by step. Add this process, hire this person, create this, this task, or create this system. In order to take one step back and one step back and one step back to get to a point where you're really working on your business and you're really dialed in on your strengths. And through that process, we started figuring out, okay, you're really good at this. I'm really good at this. Let's go ahead and start drawing lines and defining our roles within those lines. And as a partner, whether you have a partner or not, that's the best thing we ever did.
And I would say more importantly, I think through that process, as we've taken steps back, we've plugged great people in. You know what I mean? It wasn't just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to get involved in this. It was, I'm better suited for this particular thing. So how can I either figure out if Randy's better at this and wants to do it, or if we need to now fill that gap. And we've done a great job filling it in with, new employees, very strong leaders. And it, kind of taking the strengths that we had, found people who were equal at doing that.
If not better.
Or if not better. We took a step back again and made it so that we were not worried about relinquishing those rights, right? I think a lot of people go on vacation or they go out of town and they're just worried the entire place is going to burn down. And that's not what we got into. We got into a spot where I can pretty much unplug and not be too worried about it. I think everybody's worried about it a little bit. But to a certain degree, it's your baby, right? So, I mean, you've got the best babysitter in the world, and we have fantastic people there, but I'm always going to have that little twinge. But we have great people, and I love what we've built. It's cool. It's cool, especially to do it with your best friend.
That's awesome. And it's been a fun journey of trial and error, right? We just kind of learn as we go, And I think at this point now, our roles are really defined. It's like, okay, I oversee the commercial division and marketing and branding. Those are my strengths. I'm a contractor. I grew up building things. That's what my whole background is. So going into commercial and new construction and all that just makes sense for me to oversee that. And he's really organized and really good at management. And he's a good trainer and good, he's wired to go into the office and be there and be involved. Me, I can't do that. It doesn't work. It's a good yin and yang. I can't focus on anything. 100%. I can't focus on anything longer than ooh, shiny. But the key to that is self-awareness. And it started a few years back. At first, we had no clue what we were doing. We were just grinding. Like, this needs to get done. You or me? Okay, I'll do it. You or me? Okay, you do it. But through all that, through the process of working together and learning, we started learning more and more about ourselves.
Yeah.
And once we started learning more and more about ourselves, we were able to really start getting a lot better definition of our roles. Not necessarily just our roles, but our abilities.
Yeah.
Right.
And then once we figured out, okay, I'm really good at these 2 or 3 things, and you're really good. God gave you a gift to be really good at these 2 or 3 things.
Yeah.
So why don't you focus on those? I'll focus on these, and let's just be as good as we possibly can at the things that we're naturally really good at.
Yeah.
And start filling the gaps everywhere else.
Mm-hmm. So you're focusing on your strengths.
100%.
Yeah. So I want to, so obviously you guys have done an amazing job with Elite. Right? I have a lot of respect for what you guys have accomplished. But just a fun question: what's your guys' vision now? I mean, you guys have done so much with Elite. Like, what are you guys going to do in the next 5, 10 years? Like,
100 million.
Is that seriously? What do you guys see as Elite? Like the next step for them? Because you guys have done so much great stuff and built such a great team. Like, what's next after that?
I think for me personally, I think it's just continuing to have a great trajectory, right?
Yeah.
I think there's so many guys who want to go out and they're like, in 3 years, I want to do 50 million. Like, how are you going to get there, right? You gotta figure out what steps it takes to get to that point. So for me, as long as we can do an upward trajectory, I don't want to stay level, right? I always want to be growing. I always want to be doing different things and plugging in new people. We made a big stretch this year to really focus on doing commercial.
Yeah.
So that's been a big project that Randy's been undertaking, and I've been really trying to grow everything we can on the residential side. But residential is just what's gotten us here now, and I think commercial, honestly, is a lot more of our future.
Yeah, sure. Commercial.
Yeah, and we've built a system for residential that's humility aside, it's second to none.
Mm-hmm.
We have a full support team and an entire sales team that he has personally trained one at a time with a program that we created and we built. We literally created our own training program, our own onboarding process, built out a whole production department that they can go from 3 roofs a week to 30 roofs a week overnight and get her done. They know what to do. They know the process to do that, to scale the business. And then we started just plugging great quality people out on those front lines. And then all of a sudden it just started multiplying and then people started coming to us. And now it's just minor tweaks of oiling this machine that we've built instead of having to make major changes all the time like we used to.
Right.
So on the residential side, we're really proud of what we've built, and we're really proud of the team that we have because we feel. I mean, it's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. We're always learning, always growing. But we really focus on the customer experience, our company brand, and our value system. Yeah. And those 3 things combined has provided a recipe for success. And that's also the premise of the education piece now. Like we want to teach people what we literally did, and that's where the Roofing Academy started. It came like, okay, you did this and you learned a lot and you made a lot of mistakes, lost a lot of money on the way, and now how do we take 10 years of lessons and condense that down into a program that someone can do and initiate in a year, right?
Learn from our mistakes.
That was the idea.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, actually, because you spend a lot of efforts on sales training, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have any tips or any advice for, a lot of contractors out there, owners out there that struggle with sales training and retention of their salespeople?
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, we had to learn this lesson exactly one time.
Yeah.
A lot of people go out there and they hire this shotgun approach, right? Do not do a shotgun approach. Do what you can to really get the cream of the crop. Get a couple great guys that you honestly believe in. There's no way you can go out and hire 10 guys and honestly believe that all 10 of them are going to be great. I want to hire 3 of those 10 that other people would hire. Yeah. And I want to focus on those 3 guys. I want to really put in all my effort that I would, 10% for hiring 10 guys at a time. And I really want to put a lot of effort into those couple guys that can get on at once. That is what I think has made one of the biggest differences for what we've done is throwing that to the wayside and realizing that people are one of your most valuable assets. And if you don't put your time and your energy into those people, nobody's going to flourish.
Yeah. And that's one thing that's super impressive, too, with the volume you guys do with the number of salespeople.
Yeah.
I think a lot of other roofing companies out there have so many salespeople, and we're producing, possibly less than what you guys are doing in comparison to the number you guys have. So that's very impressive.
Yeah, we're all about I've said it before. I've made videos on it. Hire character, train skills.
Yeah,
and we take that to heart.
Yeah,
we want to hire someone that we're willing to go take our family and their family and go on vacation together.
Right.
That's the type of relationship we want with our sales partners. They're not just salespeople; they're sales partners. We've talked about that. We treat them like partners, and it's important that you kind of have that partnership type of mentality throughout your whole business. Yeah, and that'll really help building and growing a good, solid foundation.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna hit you with a question. Okay. So we got a question from Mark. He says, "What is the best approach you found to marketing elite roofing?"
The best approach. It's hard to narrow it down. Thanks for the question, Mark. Appreciate it. It's hard to narrow it down to just one single thing. But I think a big part of it is we talk about this, but it absolutely starts with a website. Like, think about it. If you're a roofer, it's just you. You're just starting out, and you're going to a customer's house. You're knocking on that door. You're trying to convince them to buy a roof from you. They've already talked to 10 other roofers. How do you separate yourself? Without having volume, without having a bunch of money, without having this huge brand already built. If you have a really solid website that's going to actually not only like almost entertain that client, but really provide a lot of value to that client, it's a fantastic start. Because image is everything. So your customer is going to be looking you up. The first thing they're going to do is go look at your website. If you have a crappy website, they're going to bypass you. Sorry, it's just going to happen. It's just reality. Okay, and the next step is invest a little bit more and more into digital marketing. Yeah, and that's website, that's SEO, that's SEM. It's then Facebook. Facebook social media is really cheap. Yeah, I mean you can do Facebook marketing really cheap. And once you have a little bit of money, should I give them our secret? I think I might do it. Whatever. Becomes suspense. I probably secret. Once you have the money to invest in people to help build your brand. Yeah. And I'll keep it pretty thin here, but invest in somebody that can go out, represent your company, and build relationships with key people. Yeah. With key organizations that can help drive revenue for you. Build relationships there. That's a major investment. Until you have the chance to do that, I talk a lot more about it in the program, but I'm not going to go really deep right now because that's very valuable information on how to execute that. Yeah. But once you execute business development, it's a game changer. Game over. And it just builds and builds and builds and builds from there. Yeah. And it just sets you apart and takes you to the next level. Granted, it's a very expensive investment. Yeah. Yeah. And you're taking a lot of risk because once again, you got to hire the right person. If you don't, you're just spinning your wheels.
Yeah. I would say that falls into the same thing with the website, though, and all the SEO and all the online stuff. I mean, the website we built didn't just pop out this way, right? We've had continual changes, and Devin's really been integral in really saying, you need to do this, you need to add in this, you need these AdWords, you need to do these right things. And the decision she's made has really led us to having a great presence online now. And on top of that, it helped us build our brand, and that's one of the biggest things. That's what makes our company, I think, stand out a lot more. It's just that our branding is that much better, and it starts with, like you said, a great website. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're not going to be able to afford to wrap all your trucks at first. You're not going to be able to afford to do billboards or commercials or radio advertising or stuff like that when you're starting out. And I wouldn't recommend that.
No. Yeah.
But as you grow, you must grow your marketing budget. You don't scale your business without scaling your budget. Yeah. It makes no sense. The marketing is the best investment you can make. So hopefully that answered your question, Mark. We'd love to talk to you more about it. I love marketing. We'll do a whole show on marketing. We have done a whole show.
Well, I'll say this though too.
That's my thing.
When I was using some pretty good keywords when I was typing, just searching roofing contractors in the area, and you knew who came out first with some Google advertising. Elite Roofing. You guys are number one as soon as I started typing in some of that stuff. So I did a great job with that.
What the public doesn't realize, and or other roofers don't realize, that we've been partnered with the same person working on our website for years. This is it's a long, ongoing process to get to the place where you're top 3, top 5 in every big major category. I mean, Google top roofer Denver. We're going to show up number 1.
Right.
But 2 years ago, we weren't even on the first page. But it's, again, you gotta. It takes time, and you gotta have the right person, the right marketing partner to help you with that.
Yes. And hey, Devin says thanks for the shout out, babe. Oh man, that's awesome. Okay,
What else we got?
Yeah, let's see here. I think that's pretty much it for questions. Let's see here. So what about, you talked a little bit about, you can't afford to ramp your trucks and everything like that in the very beginning. Do you guys have any suggestions on where they should be spending that little bit of marketing spend that they have in the beginning stages if you're just starting out?
I think one of the things, just because when I do the training with all of our new guys, I hound them. Even ones I've trained months ago, I still hound them. What networking group are you in?
Yep.
Get in a network. If you're not in a networking group,
is that number one in the beginning stages? You think?
No, number one's door knocking.
Honestly,
nobody's going to know you unless you are standing in front of the decision maker.
Yeah.
Right? But I would say if you're trying to expose yourself and your brand and what you do, networking is one of the best things you can do. And it's not much real time invested. I mean, it's kind of the simple math is, how many hours a week does it take to be in this group? Most groups meet for an hour and a half on, let's say, a Tuesday, right? So if they're going to meet for an hour and a half, after a year is over, how much did you sell? How much did you make? That divide that by the real hours. Let's call it 50 hours a week. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that much. And so it's okay. Well, if I make, let's call it $200 every time I go to this networking group, is it worth going? Yeah, absolutely. Right? Yeah. I would definitely do that. So I would say that's probably my biggest input.
Yeah, and it's cheap. Yeah, I mean, you're going to pay an annual fee. What is it, like $300-400 for a networking group? Yeah, and you may pay per week to go to there, like go to the breakfast or lunch, depending on the time of day. They're all over. They're every day or all over the place. For a little tip, the best one. We can tell people this because we're in all the groups that are open anyway. So Business Networking International. Yeah. So if you go online, no matter what state you're in, go to BNI/whatever state it is, and it should bring up that state, and you can actually research what groups are out there and what positions are filled. Because the beauty of networking groups is that there's only one business per position
in this brand.
Yeah, there's only in that particular brand. So and there's a handful of them that operate the same way. But in there, you're going to be the only roofer in there. So you got to do a little research to find a group that doesn't already have a roofer. But every group has an insurance agent. Every group has a realtor. Every group has a mortgage lender. Every group has a handyman and general contractors and all these people that you can kind of create this whole networking team up with. And it's literally like having a mini sales team working for you as an independent sales rep. So I think when we started, we're still in a network group we've been in for almost 7 years.
Even when we went to the other state, that was the first thing he and I both did was found different groups to go into. Oh yeah.
Storm chasing. When we were storm chasing, back in the day, the first thing I did, find a networking group every time.
Yep. No kidding. Yep.
Interesting. Well, especially because there you don't know anybody. I mean, the best way to network out. The first 5 roofs I sold were seriously to my dad, my grandma, and 3 friends from high school. You know what I mean?
I love it. I wonder why he's so good at selling.
Those are people that they want to support me, and they know that I'm going to treat them right. And that was one of the best things I did was really get my own inner circle to get work. But if you go to a different state, you've got to branch out.
Yeah.
Okay. We got to give a shout out to Craig.
Yeah.
Thanks, Craig. Appreciate you giving this man a chance.
Thanks, Dad.
Give him an opportunity to roof. It launched what has now been an awesome career and an awesome adventure, sharing it with this guy.
So let's take it this direction, right? Okay. So the title was to partner or not to partner.
Yes.
Obviously, you guys are a success story, right? But then we had some comments of some people that said they'll never do it again, right? Should they partner or should they not partner?
Okay. Let me. I think that every human has certain characteristics that God gave you that are just great. Every human is wired different ways, and there's certain things that you're just naturally really good at. But the reality of it is that you're not going to be able to handle everything. Like, to really build a company, you can have your own company and you can get so far. It's really hard to get over the hump. And in my opinion, to be able to really scale a business without having some sort of level of partnership. Because as humans, we're limited in certain abilities. You know, a lot of us entrepreneurs are all over the place. We shoot from the hip. We just make decisions on the fly. We drive around in our truck. we got our checkbooks driving around on Fridays to the job sites, handing out checks. And trust me, I know that's how I started. But that's not sustainable, and that's not, you're not gonna be able to scale a business that way.
Yeah.
So yes, it's very tricky because you can definitely get into rough situations with partners. So one piece of advice I'd give if you are looking to find a partner or to build a relationship with your partner or explore the idea of partnership is treat it like a marriage. A partnership is a marriage, and you're not just going to marry somebody after you meet them the first week or the first night, right? So you kind of want to date first. When choosing a partner, you kind of want to date first. Like, you want to date that person first. Figure out whether you guys are really able to work together first. So I think a good way to bring on a partner, and if we were to do it now, would be a time-based buy-in. It would be, okay, we're going to be partners over 5 years. We're going to set these benchmarks, and as we get through these benchmarks, you'll get closer and closer to your percentage or your partnership in the company. Right. It's a great way to kind of really get to know somebody and get to work with somebody and figure out whether it's going to work long term before you actually put on that ring
and say
yes.
Right. So Devin actually had a question too. So let's grab onto this. So what's a sign that a partnership is working other than just the bottom line?
Happiness.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a certain level of camaraderie and trust, and overall, just I think just quality of not just your work life but your personal life. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's hard because especially with what we have, and in partnership and in our business, we have a lot of friends, like close friends and family members and people that we have to ride that line with. And I think Randy's happiness in business and life is really important to me. And so, it's one of those things where we also have a great level of mutual respect. I don't want to let him down. He doesn't want to let me down. You know what I mean? Like, we want him. We both have a great common goal. But if that common goal isn't met, then we also have the respect for each other to either step it up or call that person out.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. You got to have an open and very transparent, open relationship. Like, if I'm acting like a fool, if I'm making a dumb decision, just today we were talking about this
live in action.
Yeah, today we were talking about this whole, and my sales guys, you're welcome, sales team. We have this tracker that we use, and our guys update numbers every single week, and I had taken it a little too far. I was like, I want this nice fancy little
very innovative,
and it was getting to the point where it was a little bit redundant, a little bit too much, and he was like, dude, like, what's the point of this? Like, what are you actually doing here? And he knows how to approach me because he knows that instead of just saying, hey, you're an idiot, why are you doing this? I just get defensive and pissed off. But he comes to me as like, what's the real reasoning behind doing this? And then I analyze it. I'm like, there really isn't a good reason. Let's just kind of having fun. Let's just get rid of it. So literally we're like, click, 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 let's delete it, get rid of it, move on.
Yeah.
So, and you got to have that relationship. Like, if we're making a bad decision or we're not holding up our end of the bargain, like, call that other person out and be able to have real talk. Even if it's hard, even if the talk sucks, you got to do it. It is what it is.
Cool. Well, I think just like you mentioned with the whole marriage, I mean, marriages are built a lot on communication, mutual respect. You know what I mean? Those are huge things. And so, it's more of a matter of that in business. And I kind of use the roommate example, but that's a huge level of mutual respect, right? I mean, your roommate's not doing any dishes and not cleaning things up. Like, you're going to go fisticuffs, right? It's not a good thing. Same thing here. If he's not going to pull his weight, if he's not going to do what he's doing, and we're not both going towards the same goal, we're going to hopefully go verbally fisticuffs, but he'd probably punch me in the face. Probably punch back. And but at the same time, with the mutual respect that's there, we know it's towards the end goal, and we know we could brush each other off and say, hey, back on track. Let's do what we got to do.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome, guys. I think that's it. Hey,
let's do Q&A. What do we got? We got a couple of viewers left.
We had some questions.
Still some questions out there. We're so busy, man. We don't even spend as much time together throughout the week. We got a solid hour here together. Not to mention we both have small children and families, and so not only are we working all day every day, and we go home to our families, and our families are intermixed. Our wives are friends. We have two sons really close, so it's an awesome adventure to be able to share that, and we really wanted to do this show to show that, because I know firsthand that a lot of people in our industry and a lot of entrepreneurs out there have been burned by partnerships. Simple as that. Like a lot of people, there's a lot of bad blood out there, and there's a lot of people, and we got some reactions today that absolutely not. I'll never have a partner again, and that's sad, to be honest. It's sad, because I'm a big believer that it's not going to be fun if I build a business and I climb all the way to the top and I'm up there by myself. What's the fun in that? Like our whole premise of our business and our whole why we do what we do, we don't keep score with our bank accounts. We don't keep score with how much revenue we do or how many roofs we sell. We keep score with how many opportunities we provide for other people.
Certainly.
That's totally how we do it. And that is the basis of our culture. And if you take any bit of advice from that, take that. And your people are everything, and invest in them, and don't try to go up to the top of the mountain by yourself. Bring others with you. Succeed by helping others succeed.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I like it.
Totally. Any other questions? We got a couple more minutes here.
I think that's it. Carlos was feeling that, though. He gives a thumbs up on that.
Carlos, what's up, man? Good to see you, buddy. See you back again in the next. That's it, Carlos. Yeah. What's up? Who can we say hi to? We got Jen. We got Carlos. What's up?
Yeah.
Charles, Uncle Charles. How you doing, man? Devin, thanks. Lynn, Elaine, Maria, Emily. Look, we got lots of friends and family on here.
We do.
Look at this. We have maybe like 2 roofers and like 100 family members watching.
So I'm you guys.
I know, right?
You saw your first roof too,
Hey,
right?
go ahead and share it. Share this out.
Yeah, see if they really support you guys.
Yeah,
Share it
right.
out.
Yeah.
And they don't, you're just talking to national show.
You really love us. Share it. Facebook likes
It's not that
share.
tough. Think about the stuff they're sharing already, right? Just add it on.
Yeah.
Well, let me close with this, because we touched on it a little bit, but this show's about partnership. We always want to leave you with some good advice that you can literally go to the office tomorrow. And I think one of the best things that Cody and I have done is we take time for ourselves, and we illustrated our roles. Like we literally wrote down, these are all the things that need to get done. We separated them out based on what the strengths are of each. And here's your lane, here's my lane. Stay in your lane, I'll stay in mine. And don't cross that. You know, and cool. He's in charge of our residential sales team and residential sales, VP of residential sales. If a sales guy calls me, and it happens all the time. I mean, we get a lot of time. It happens. If people call, hey, I want to look interested in going to work in your company. Great, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for seeking us out. I'm not the person in charge of that. I tell them that right away. I'm like, the best I can do is get you an interview. And that's staying in your lanes. You know, we learned that. I crossed over. We've hired people, or if I get too involved and he doesn't get his opportunity to do a proper onboarding, a proper training, we don't find out till 2 months down the road that there was holes that were missed and different things that weren't taught, and that salesperson may be struggling because we didn't onboard and train them the right way because I stepped out of line, and vice versa. Like if someone calls him and talks to him about commercial or marketing or something, he's going to be like, go, that's Randy's role. Divert and have Randy do that. So define your roles. Make sure you both understand what your responsibilities are within the company. Don't cross over, but work together and set goals and just work hard. Like work hard, feed off each other, and don't let the other person down. Like we have this subconscious, I can outwork you mentality. Like we literally do. There's times at night where I'm up at like 10 working, and I'm like, I got Cody. Then I get an email from him at like 10:30, like, damn it, he's working too. You know, it is what it is. Like that's how we roll. Like I know that if he's not having fun on vacation or hanging out with his family, that he's busting his ass working. Yeah. And I think he knows the same thing.
Definitely vice versa. Yeah.
So,
I mean, setting clear deliverables, finding a person that you not only tolerate but actually respect. You can build great things. You can get with great people, and we're both very fortunate to have found each other, to have built this together, and we hope all you guys out there can do the same and find somebody that you enjoy working with and can do great things with.
Cool. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much.
Hey, that was episode 13 of the
Episode
Start
13.
Build Grow Show.
As always.
Thanks for coming on, Cody.
Here's my sales pitch. Read it. That was it.
Read it. Read the book.
That's my sales pitch. Read the book.
Thanks, guys. Check us
Join
next
the roofing
Wednesday at
company.
6:30.
Check us out online. We'll see you next week.